Gametogenesis is the process of producing gametes. In females, gametogenesis is known as oogenesis, and in males, it's known as spermatogenesis. So let's take a look at this. In females, gametogenesis commences in utero. That is to say, when a female is developing in the womb of her mother is when her gametes first begin development. So in early fetal development, germ cells turn into what are known as oogonia via mitotic divisions, more are produced via mitosis, and then around the 4th month of fetal development, meiosis and oogenesis begins, developing what's known as an oocyte. There's a primary and secondary oocyte, but for our purposes, let's just suggest an oocyte. Meiosis is going to halt or pause roughly around the 7th month of development. So when a baby is born, when a female baby is born, she is born with a bunch of eggs that are not fully developed. They are stalled in the first phase of meiosis. There's roughly 300,000 of those undeveloped eggs upon birth. Nothing is happening to those eggs until puberty. When a female reaches reproductive age, so let's say that's roughly 13 years old, give or take a few years, once the female has reached reproductive maturity, one of those eggs is going to resume meiosis and completely develop into an egg or ovum. Certainly, there could be more that develop, but by and large, one egg is going to resume development every 28 days. Once that development is almost complete, ovulation is going to occur. I say almost complete because theoretically, meiosis is not complete until fertilization of that egg, but it's almost complete during ovulation. So we have the development of oogonia early in fetal development. Around the 4th month, meiosis begins to develop oocytes, and then ovulation is going to occur many years later. Keep in mind, these oocytes are going to halt in development at birth, and roughly 13 to 15 years later, they are going to resume development. And then every 28 days, one of these eggs is going to be ovulated into the peritoneal cavity in hopes of being fertilized. So let's take a more specific look at this. This is just representing ovulation where the egg is released every 28 days, or a different egg is released every 28 days. So let's take a look at this more specifically. So here I am, 52 years old. The question I pose for you is, when was the egg that produced me, or the egg that was eventually fertilized and produced me, when did that egg begin development? Was it 52 years ago? I was born in the year of 1968, January of 1968. When did that egg first begin development? To answer that question, we need to look at this woman right here. This picture was taken last week. This is my 83-year-old mother. She is the one who provided the egg that produced half of my genetic material, or contributed half of my genetic material. The egg that she provided to produce this guy first started developing when she was in the womb of my grandmother. So here's my grandmother. Now, I don't know who this baby is. Certainly it's one of her grandchildren. But the egg that produced me, that came from her, first started developing when she, that is my mother, was the fetus developing inside of my grandmother in 1936. So once again, if we look at this, the oogonia right here starts developing in 1936. Also in 1936, the primary oocyte is formed. But that egg, this one particular egg, doesn't complete oogenesis or meiosis until 1967. I say 1967 because I was born in January of 68, so it had to be fully developed 9 months before January of 1968. That is female gametogenesis. Male gametogenesis is known as spermatogenesis. Production of male gametes, known as sperm cells, begins at puberty, which can be for males anywhere from 15 years old to 45 years old. And it will continue on theoretically into later years. That is gametogenesis.